Welcome to the Brave Change Pod, where we share insights and stories from the front lines of global health and development. What does it take to be present at home and deliver at work? Structure? Yes. A strong circle? Yes. Also the courage to be seen as you really are. Today, Folake and Zainab explore motherhood, maternity and leadership with women who set high standards, ask for help and model what it takes to thrive.
I think when I came to Acasus, I had gotten to a point in my career where my goals were clearer.
Okay.
The journey was clearer as well. My support system all knew or still know how driven I am when it comes to my career. My kids already, teenagers also already know how driven I am. And I had created a system where they could hold me accountable to those goals, and I could hold them accountable to the support that they promised to provide when we discussed the goals. Because I think communication is very important, both on the part of your support system of family and on part of work. So by the time I joined Acasus, things were a bit clear in terms of where I wanted to go with my career and my family as well. And so it was just a matter of having the conversation and saying, these are the expectations. I do know that I would require A and B and C of you guys. Don't let me run after you to do your homework when I'm back from work and I'm exhausted. My mom is the best mom in the world. She's always there. She's the one person that if I had to travel and I just picked up my phone and said, Mommy, I need you, she's on the next flight in to stay with my kids. And actually, just before this trip, she just moved in. Like my siblings, so we're always fighting for her. Like everybody wants Mommy to come around and help stay with their kids. But she sent a message on the family WhatsApp group to my siblings and said, she's got me now. I'm not moving. I'm a fixture in this house. So, because I don't think she's ever going to stop traveling on this job.
It's majorly the strength comes from the drive and the support system you have, because I would never underestimate the support system. Just also understanding that the person on the other side is doing their best. Nobody's perfect, but they're doing their best, and also really helping them not feel guilty that I'm doing too much. You should take on your rules. Little things like the kids are going back to school on Saturday is things I tell my husband, even though I know he knows, but I still try to just so that we're on tab on things. And the way he tends to, like, especially when I'm tired, you get exhausted naturally, but he drives me, be like, you're going back to that job tomorrow, so just go and sleep over it and move on. Life happens. Even if you're not working, you still get those moments in life.
Definitely the drive, the support system, which we've talked about a lot. But I also think practically, I do checklists a lot. Yeah, structure, communication to everybody. So almost everything is calendarized, almost to the point that people tell me I'm OCD, because I like to ensure that I know I'm on top of things when I should be, or things that I have control over, and things that I need support for. People know what they need to do when they need to do it. So if I don't have everything on a calendar, and if I don't have a schedule, I will fail, and they would fail me as well. So I have that. I have for my kids too. Like every hour is accounted for. When I'm not there and I don't want them spending the entire time on the internet, they have to send me a schedule. Every morning when they wake up on WhatsApp, I get a schedule of what they're doing, whether they're taking breaks, whether they're showering, whatever it is. My son calls it a military family. I'm happy for him to label it whatever he wants to label it, as long as it gives us structure and sanity, because that's another thing that's really important. Otherwise, I would keep getting upset with them at things that they know nothing about, that is also not their fault.
Yeah.
So I have checklists for everything. And I involve them in developing the checklist as well. So for instance, I could be in the kitchen cooking, and that's another thing I do. I do bulk cooking. I have a deep freezer where I put everything in plastic containers. So people just have to pull those out and throw them in the microwave and everybody's good to go. And they've also learned how to cook. So they do their household chores, they do their cooking themselves. And so what I do sometimes when I'm too busy to write the checklist is I dictate. So rather than use an app, I'm cooking and my daughter is writing my checklist for me. I think that also helps them to see how structure, helps to just get you going, makes things efficient and gives you order. So checklist, definitely. Communication, so we have regular check-ins as well. I'm sorry, I sound like a
Yeah, because you're making me feel really inside the playbook.
a general in the army or something like that. But I think also maybe from my background, medicine, you can't afford to make mistakes with people's lives. So things are like you have to be on point with everything. So maybe that training as well, but also maybe because I love my sanity and my peace, and I want things to be in order. I want things if I'm asking for help, I want to be clear what I need help with when I need the help. That checklist also helps me with work. So for instance, the Friday before we came here was a public holiday in Nigeria.
Yes.
The Monday following that was the day my kids were supposed to resume in a new school because we had just relocated to Nigeria. So I had to do something on Thursday, make sure everything they needed for school was ready. And then the school, for whatever weird reasons, decides to send an email saying, today can't pick up their uniforms between 1 and 4 p.m. when I already had a schedule for things to do at work. So I had to then send an email to work to say, I'm going to work from home today because I need to do a number of things. So I had my meeting. I was wrapping up the meeting and getting into my car and running straight to the school to pick up the uniforms. Got to the school and the lady said, where are the kids? I said, they're home. No, you have to go get them because they have to get a fitting. So I rushed back home. And during this time, I had a call. So I was in my car. I was taking a call from work. I was getting back home. Before I got home, I'd called my mom, get them ready, get them into their clothes, throw them in the car for me. And I rushed back to the school. But I got things done on that Thursday. Again, because I had a diary of everything that I needed to do. And even when I got an email that required me to do something that was not part of it, because I already knew what I was doing, I knew who to communicate with. I knew how to plan around that that event that was not a part of my, or that was not accounted for in my diary. So checklists and definitely clear communication to everyone. Even before they could understand, when I had to travel, I would sit with them weeks before traveling and talk about traveling, talk about what I needed them to do in my absence. And they would nod, not understanding, but I got into the habit of doing it. They got into the habit of receiving that. And it's just grown with us. Yeah.
That's interesting. I think mine is the total opposite. I like living chaos, but still things
Organized
fitting in the chaos. Yes.
As long as it's working.
Yeah.
I think there's always times where it feels like you can't keep up, to be honest, even with all the checklists and the calendars and the diaries. I think for me, most recently, I felt like I couldn't keep up on both ends. Usually it's one or the other at different points. But because it's a new role, it's a new organization, I think just getting onboarded, getting familiar with the work and the project, and trying to demonstrate that the decision to bring me in wasn't a wrong one. I think that gets to you, and sometimes you start to feel like you're an imposter, and yeah, maybe I don't fit. But I think what has helped is the support system at work. Linda has been amazing. Like every session with Linda feels like therapy. She talks about everything. She asks really insightful questions that make me ask, or that reassure me that I'm the it. I'm the whatever the Gen Z people call it these days. But that I'm right for this role, and I've done this before. She used a phrase recently. She said, someone said that to her, but it stayed with me. Inventory your slain dragons. You've been on this path before. You've done this before. You've won. You've done it successfully. Why are you second guessing yourself now? Why are you doubting? You can do this. And that was weeks ago. That really strengthened me, stayed with me, has stayed with me since then. And I've consistently said that to myself and felt a lot better every time. I mean, there are still moments where I feel like, what did I get myself into? But I think having these conversations with my kids too, I'm very vulnerable with my kids when I talk about things like this. And I remember a day that I got home, my son was on the dining table, and I just put my food in and was eating, and I turned to him and said, do you think we made the right decision? And he's like, Mommy, what are you afraid of? You can do this. You've done it before. And you know the interesting thing, he wasn't looking at me, he was typing on his computer when he was saying this, so nonchalantly. And I'm like, if it's 14-year-old boy saying this to me, and what's my problem? I mean, I have been on this journey before. I've really slain these dragons before. So what's the big deal? But work, Linda, Akbar has been amazing. He just steps in without being told what to do. And he's constantly checking in, constantly asking about the family, asking about the kids, asking how I'm settling in, Johnny as well. And even the PMs, like I remember you had a conversation with me, you asked me how things were going. So I've had a very supportive environment, supportive team. And, the last few weeks have just shown me that we're all in this together and everybody wants me to succeed.
Yeah. Because when I think about Acasus and my last organization where things were like laid back, you do things as slow as possible, slower than what I even want to do, if I can say it that way. And coming to Acasus and the pace at which we're moving, because management consulting is a new space for me, even though the development sector is not new. But the speed at which we're working, and I'm like, but they said that 30 days was for me to learn. The next one is to own it, but I've already owned it from day one, really. But when I also look back and see the impacts that are happening and the team around, is really comforting. Because as you've mentioned, the PMs, they really check on you silently. You don't realize they're checking on you, but they're actually doing that. And even Akbar as well, he has really been a support. And the way they pull you into doing things like coming into BD and asking you to do it, it's not like, do you know how to do it? No, just do it. Picking you to go and have meetings with high-level stakeholders, it gives you the satisfaction that, yes, I think I'm in the right place. And in belief that I can do it. That's why they're putting me in these things. So it's really satisfying. It's really like, I'm now feeling fulfilled because I'm doing things that I always felt like I need to do things like this. And one more thing for me is the independence as well. It's like, this is your project. Do it the way, do what you're supposed to do. But even if you have that independence, you still have those experts to sense check your crazy ideas for you to confirm that, yes, it's going to work. So that's really, really the amazing thing I feel about working in Acasus. You feel tired, yes, we wouldn't lie about that, but there's that sense of satisfaction as well.
Absolutely. And I think you feel seen and heard, right? It gives you a sense of ownership around the work. It makes you feel like if these people see me and hear me and allow me to still do the things that they want me to do independently with support, then I'm good to go.
Yes.
And I think the second takeaway for me is how it then inspires other people. How when other people see an example of who and what they want to be in the future, then that's inspiring as well.
Yes.
So I hold myself to that standard to be able to model what it would mean to be a mother on this journey, in this kind of job, in this kind of space, working in Acasus and demonstrating that it's possible. You can win on both journeys. You can do both.
And I think people really need to understand that there's nothing easy in life. Don't just think that it's a smooth ride. There's nothing easy. There's a lot going on to make it seem easy. But nothing really comes easy. And for hard work and for you to get that satisfaction, you have to go through those.
No dragon will allow you to slay him easy.
Yes.
Agree.
For me, when I looked at it, because would I say for the company I worked at that time, I gave birth to 2 of my kids within the projects. So, and it was very close to one another. So I always felt that guilt. So there's that pressure, even though for the 2 kids I had an assistant, but she was like a very lower staff compared to the position I was holding and the magnitude of the budget for that project. So there was that pressure on myself to ensure that things go smoothly.
Recently, I got interested in female representation at leadership level, particularly in the health sector in Nigeria. And I found that at the highest level, it's less than 50. Actually, 2 sources. One says less than 10%. The other one says it's less than 15%, which I think is terrible for multiple reasons, but particularly because there's no inclusion in decision making. How do you identify and understand the problem that women are facing and how they deal with those problems, not just in the workplace, but also maternal and child health that we deal with. And that really bothered me. When I joined the Acasus and I saw that representation, first at all the levels, actually, associates, senior associates, managers, and PDs, I thought that was really amazing. I thought it was an intentionality to identifying people and bringing them in. I think we have a large pool of amazing women in Nigeria who do amazing stuff in the space that I was very encouraged to see Acasus tapping into that and bringing people in just to ensure that inclusion, to ensure that we're growing a pool of female leaders. Yeah.
Yeah. And something you said that struck with me as well is they're making that effort to go find the women and pull them and show them that it's possible, because that is something that on a good day some women might think, no, it's not my space. They won't even make an effort to go there. But when you're invited to come and can you come join us, you might think it again and be like, okay, let me give it a try. But as you said, really the way Acasus is going is really, I remember my conversation with Agba where he said we want to see female leaders also from the north going to those northern places to talk, which really has an impact. People might not see it immediately, but it has an impact eventually. It gives hope to those women, even at those levels that you interact with. Since women are in these spaces, we can also get there.
Absolutely.
And that's what we need to show more, especially in this space.
We can get there and they care about us. They would care about us. I think, so I grew up in the north, so I'm very familiar with the culture and with the norms in the northern part of Nigeria. And for me, every time I see a woman in a leadership position, I am encouraged. When I see the ES of Sokoto, for instance, the commissioner in Zamfara, I feel encouraged because I know that there is hope. I know that if this woman could get to those positions in a place like the northern part of Nigeria, oh my goodness, we're already slaying all the dragons. I think it's really amazing.
It is.
What's happening and how gradually we can start to build that pool of female leaders that we want to see, more and more of them, not just in the north, but spread across all the different regions in Nigeria. And I think that one other thing that I found as a challenge to having a female leadership is when people look at jobs like ours, they say, oh, I don't think I can combine it with motherhood. And so even if and when they do join, when they get to that point where they're making a decision about starting that motherhood journey, they leave because they think that the environment is not conducive. But one thing that I'm happy about is we even have an example, like in Nigeria right now, of someone who has done the 9 months of carrying a pregnancy, has brought the baby to term and had the baby. And before she went on her maternity leave, we're able to put a plan in place for her where, first of all, during the time of her pregnancy, we're supportive, ensuring that, the burden of the work is calibrated in a way that adjusts to the journey that she's on. And then providing her with options for when she goes on her leave and when she returns, how she's going to integrate back into the team, into the system of the organization, and what sort of support is available to her even afterwards. I think one thing that she clearly called out in my conversation with her was her concern around, I think it's a concern. I was going to say maybe not a concern, but her concern around wanting to juggle both and be seen as being able to do it. Because I think that's something that goes on in her head. And we talked about it earlier, right? And what I said to her, which she came back to say was really powerful, was you are on 2 journeys at the same time.
Yes.
And you can do both, but you also need to ask yourself, which one am I winning per time? When you're not pregnant, you obviously are winning on the career end. But when you're carrying life inside of you, sometimes 1, 2, 3, 4, depending on how many babies, right? So, and that's short term. That's like a point within the longer term journey of your career.
Exactly.
If you have a support system and you have your goal set before you and they all understand it, you just win on that end. Go have your baby. Come back with your baby alive and well, yourself alive and well, and be an inspiration to other people as well.
Exactly.
But don't ever put yourself under pressure and say that you're not winning on both ends, because you are. You're still showing up at work. You turned up at work at 8 months, I a week before my EDD or 4 days before my EDD, and we're still here. Our kids are grown and growing. So I think, yeah, we can win on both ends, definitely.
You can, because as you said, the period for the pregnancy, there's a period.
Yeah.
But for the career, it's a long-term thing. You can't say I have to pause one for the other. It doesn't work that way. They would fit in together.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be as smooth. And because you had a part where you did it without the pregnancy and you delivered and you're doing exceptionally well. So everybody understands this is just a short term of what would happen. And the thing I like about Acasus is the intentionality to show you that you can integrate back.
Yeah.
These are things that people are afraid of, but we are doing it, and we've been doing it perfectly well for others to see and be sure that I am safe and this is a place where I want to grow.
Yeah, and there's a community of women that would keep speaking up, will keep owning that space and keep, raising their voices. Not raising their voices, so it doesn't sound like they're shouting. But just using their voices, yeah, that's the word. Using their voices to advocate for women like us or younger women who want to start that journey.
Yes.
That was Folake and Zainab on how to win as mothers and leaders in consulting. There will be days of speed and days of pause. That's not failure, that's life. Take stock of your slaying dragons, lean on your circle, and keep moving. When we make space for mothers to lead, we do more than fill roles. We change what the next generation believes is possible. If you enjoyed this conversation, subscribe for more episodes that explore how we're supporting the government to make health systems work better, one small detail at a time. This is an Acasus production in partnership with A+B Media.